John Daniel here. I'm at the site of the Massena First Baptist Church. About 3 hours ago, I wrote on Facebook that I would be tying myself to the church in protest of its destruction. And I didn't have the chains, but I have a pair of handcuffs, and I'm going to handcuff myself now here to the church door. It's very cold out. This is difficult to do. Very difficult to do. I had to bring a chair, but it's the way to do it. I have plenty of clothing on. Well, we'll get this on. I'm not gonna have to can't wear a glove. Get my hand in this. Okay, I've done it. I could get out of this easily. I know how to do it. Basically, over 2 years ago, myself and a man named Richard Brummel, who has since left Massena, tried to save this church. It had a price tag, a very high price tag on it, and people tried to buy it, but they had no luck. And there were one private message I got from somebody about the church, told me they wanted to buy it and turn it into a bed and breakfast, but I don't know if that's true or not. But they said the way the system is in Massena, they couldn't do it. I predicted long ago, when the church went up for sale, that a certain, I'm not going to name his name, a developer in Massena would get the church, and my prediction came true. That's kind of eerie, but I somehow knew. The reason I'm doing this is Massena has lost too much of its heritage over the years. Too many of our historic structures have been destroyed. In a church this old that has stood since 1859 should continue to be here in Massena. It was constructed by the pioneers of Massena who built this community in the beginning. And they loved their church back then, and I'm sure if they were around, they would understand what I'm doing today more than 100 years later. I'm doing this in honor of the pioneers of Massena, New York, and all those souls who belong to the Massena First Baptist Church. I, in fact, have ties to this church. When I did my research, I found my great-great-great-uncle, who was a stonemason and bricklayer, helped build this church, and it was by accident. So I have a connection to this church, and it's a very pitiful that a community would let such a beautiful structure go. Nobody listened. Nobody. I've been ridiculed by people I know saying, why? It's none of your business. Why do you want to save a church? Let it go. I understand what they've said, but I stand where I am, and I would continue, as long as I'm in Massena, to help preserve whatever I can. Unfortunately, this was a failure, a complete failure. When I tried with myself and Richard Brummel to wake up the politicians of Massena and the people who make the moves in Massena with money, they didn't do a thing. Even 500 signatures on a petition to save this church did not do a thing. It didn't save this church. If this church was just located someplace else, it would not be demolished. So I'm going to stay here for 1 hour. 1 hour in honor of the pioneers of Massena, New York, and the people who built this church.